I'm 74 years old now, and most mornings I wake up before the sun, whether I want to or not. There's a quiet in the house that didn't bother me when I was younger, but now it presses on my chest. It gives me too much room to remember. I spent most of my life thinking I was doing the right thing, being responsible, being dependable, being someone others could point to and say, "He made it." I didn't realize until much later that I was spending my time auditioning for an audience that would eventually leave the room. When I was in my 20s, I was hungry in a way that felt noble back then, not hungry for money exactly, though that was part of it. I wanted respect. I wanted to be taken seriously. I wanted to be the kind of man my father never quite believed he was. I got my first real job at 24. Decent pay, good title for someone my age. I remember calling my parents and hearing the relief in my mother's voice. That sound stayed with me. I learned early that approval could feel like love. I worked late because that's what ambitious men did. I volunteered for projects no one else wanted. When my boss praised me in meetings, I felt taller walking back to my desk. I told myself this was temporary, just a few hard years to build something solid. Then I met my wife. She was patient in a way I didn't fully understand. She laughed easily. She asked questions I sometimes didn't answer very well. When we got married, I promised her stability, a good life. I didn't promise her time. I assumed it would come later. In my 30s, the pace picked up. More responsibility, more people watching me. I liked being needed. It made me feel important, necessary, irreplaceable. I didn't see how replaceable I actually was. We had children, 2 of them. I remember holding my son for the first time, thinking how small he was, how fragile. I went back to work the next week. There was always something urgent waiting for me there. I missed dinners without really meaning to. Missed school plays because a client was in town. I told myself my kids wouldn't remember these things. I was wrong. The damage didn't happen all at once. It came quietly. A sigh from my wife when I said I'd be late again. A birthday candle blown out while I was still in traffic. A look on my daughter's face when she stopped asking if I'd be there. In my 40s, people started calling me successful. Neighbors asked for advice. Younger co-workers wanted mentorship. I had a bigger house, a nicer car, better clothes. I also had less patience, less curiosity, less presence. My wife grew quieter, not angry, just tired. We talked about schedules instead of dreams. I told myself this was marriage maturing. I didn't ask what it was costing her. There was a moment. I can still see it clearly. I came home late one night and found her asleep on the couch, the TV still on. I stood there watching her breathe. I remember thinking, I'll make this up to her someday. Someday became my favorite word. It allowed me to postpone everything that mattered. In my 50s, the children were nearly grown. They had their own lives, their own rhythms I no longer understood. I tried to step back in, but I felt like a guest in conversations I should have helped shape. They were polite. That hurt more than anger would have. Work was still there, of course. Work always stays longer than people do. But even there, I noticed things changing. New leadership, new priorities. Younger faces that didn't need my approval the way I once needed someone else's. My wife got sick when I was 58. Nothing dramatic at first, just fatigue. Doctor visits. I kept working through it, telling myself I was providing, holding things together. She never complained. That was her mistake. The day she died wasn't loud. No dramatic last words, no unfinished speeches, just a quiet room and a stillness I wasn't prepared for. I realized too late that I had been planning to show up later for a life that had already ended. After the funeral, people told me how devoted I had been, how hard I worked, how proud she must have been. I nodded because that's what you do when the truth would make everyone uncomfortable. Retirement came a few years after that. They threw a party, gave me a plaque. I shook hands with people who forgot my name within months. I took the plaque home and leaned it against a wall. That was when the quiet really settled in. No meetings, no emails, no one needing my approval. Just long days and the echo of choices I couldn't undo. I tried staying busy at first, volunteering, committees, anything that resembled importance, but it wasn't the same. The phone didn't ring the way it used to. My children call, not often, but they do. We talk about weather, work, logistics. There's love there, I think, but there's also distance that never quite closed. Sometimes I look at old photos, me standing slightly apart in most of them, half smiling, distracted, already thinking about what came next. I want to reach through the image and tell that man to sit down. I used to believe sacrifice was always visible, that if you gave enough, someone would eventually notice and repay it. What I didn't understand is that the things you give up quietly don't send reminders. You don't get a bill for missed evenings. You don't get an alert for conversations you postponed too long. You just wake up one day and realize the room is empty. If you're listening to this and you're younger than me, I won't tell you what to do. I don't have that right. I can only tell you how easy it is to confuse being admired with being loved, and how expensive that confusion can be. I thought I was building a legacy. What I built was a resume. Those don't keep you company when the nights stretch on. Now, at 74, I move slower. My hands shake a little when I pour my coffee. I talk out loud sometimes just to hear a voice in the room. I'm not bitter. I'm grateful for what I had and sorrowful for what I assumed would wait for me. Both things can live together. They do. If this meant something to you, I hope you hear it as it was meant. Not as advice, just as a man telling the truth at the end of his time. I spent 40 years trying to impress everyone, and when the applause stopped, there was no one left to sit with me in the quiet.